Thank you, ladies, for joining me today. And thank you, the Retail Summit, for addressing this issue. I think, first of all, we four had an opportunity to chat, and we really want this to be more conversational, sort of like a girls' club. Alia, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your story and your perspective vis-a-vis gender diversity and how a woman in the Middle East, you achieved the success you've achieved.
Thanks, Edie. Actually, my experience is more from Canada and America, and then it came into Dubai quite later in the years. And I personally, I think the reason I think this is a topic that might be a little bit dated now is because we're living in a completely different time. It's unprecedented. There's so many firsts in our generation and in this era that it's very hard to say that someone did something because of or lack of a type of gender. So I don't see any difference, and this is the honest truth, between my experience in the West versus my experience in the Middle East. I came over here and I built Islamic Fashion and Design Council to set up a platform to support and develop something in the Islamic economy that I felt was being overlooked. We have a huge global consumer market with modest fashion. So the platform was really developed to further the industry and the industry players. And you'll see next door we've got Preda Cover Buyers Lane with 16 participants from all over the world. And the idea is to develop the brands, develop the providers, the suppliers, and even the government initiatives that we partner up with. And throughout this entire process, I would probably say that the way I sum up this whole gender observation that I've made is that I am indeed a woman, and I most definitely have my weaknesses, which should be expected. By that same token, my strengths came through my struggles, and if you have had struggles, irrespective of your gender, you too will find where your strengths are, and I think that's how we move forward. We push forward based on the journey that we're on in our lives, and I've most certainly required the male support that I've gotten, whether it was through my brother, through my father, and through really my friends and cousins, and that has further identified me. In fact, my father's played a very nice role in helping me to understand who I was. So I most certainly don't feel there's a battle if there is an indication of that. And at the same time, I feel that the women in my life, especially my mother and my sister, who's right there, has been so key in helping me to keep the pace as a woman. We certainly do have our challenges. You know, the strengths and the weaknesses must always stay balanced so that we can always move forward, and at the same time provide the support for the male counterparts that we live with and go on this journey with. So that's how I would sum it up.
Excellent, excellent. But in each of your organizations, how do you hire and or train regarding gender, if that's applicable?
We've never made that a consideration at all. It's never even crossed my mind to say, okay, this is going to be perfect for a woman and this is going to be perfect for a man. And I would like to see more of that kind of a mentality, because I think when you victimize someone with a subject like this, in this case, normally it's the women, where, you know, I don't think most women want to be viewed at in this way. You know, we're certainly not a cause in and of itself. There may be other reasons that we may require some assistance and some help, but certainly not because we're women. At least that's how I feel.
Because it's very insulting, isn't it, to say, you know, you've got a better chance at getting this job because we're going to lower the bar for you.
I think, to maybe the last point, I would probably say that I would advise anyone and everyone getting into business to take care of themselves and to rest more. I think one of the things that, if I look back, I did was I worked non-stop and I did neglect myself. And so that would be my first thing. And it's not a woman-specific thing, or it could be, just depends on how you're built, and you have to accept your reality. If you're built a little bit more frail and perhaps need a little bit more, TLC when it comes to your health and your rest, that's key. Otherwise, you can't advance and move forward. Or if you do, it's at a cost. So that would be my number one point, whether it's for a man or a woman.
You've just inspired me to add something to that. Prioritizing. For me, family does come first.
Thank you very much, ladies. Really, really interesting. If you were to sit and have dinner or lunch with two people you really admired in life, who would they be and why?
And is that for anybody in particular? Ladies?
Well, I think I would like to probably take two world leaders and sit with them and talk to them. I just sometimes really wonder how countries are run, because I know we're all human at the end of the day, and some countries make certain decisions that don't seem to make sense to the human mind. So I would love to take maybe one controversial leader and one not so controversial leader and sit with them both to better get into their heads and see what makes them do what they do, so that I can understand our world a little bit better. About ethnic minority. So this is a hypothetical question about being an ethnic minority and struggling to get ahead. Female and an ethnic minority. I mean, again, I guess it's a mindset. I suppose I was viewed as an ethnic minority, although I never saw it that way. But in America, I was an ethnic minority, and I never allowed that to enter my mind. And I don't know if that just means, I'm maybe lucky and I didn't have the struggles, because I'm sure certain female ethnic minorities may have very legitimate reasons to feel that, they were discriminated against, and I hope not. But I think, again, you kind of have to own it. You just have to walk through that door, and you've got to own it, and you've just got to be the queen that you're meant to be. No matter what you do in life, you're a queen, and that's how you have to see yourself.
My name is Tariq. I'm from Hijab House. Hi, Alia. My question is, can you guys hear me? What advice would you give to a man to be a better version of himself in the workplace?
That's a great question. So, and is the question specifically for me?
In the workplace.
Oh, for anybody. I'm sorry. Please, ladies, it's your panel.
Go for
We
it.
can't hear as well. So his question was, what advice will you give to a man to be a better team member in the workplace?
So,
I read that you have to ask a man three times if you want something done. So the first time you ask, he might think it's just a sort of a passing whim. And then the second time, he'll sort of think, oh, maybe she means it. And then the third time, register it. So if that is true, then maybe one please just go with it the first time.
Ladies?
Yeah, in other words, open your ears, men. Is that it? Start listening.
I'm sure it's not true.
Susie or Alia, anything to add to that question?
No, that's perfect.
I mean, I think a woman wants the same thing all around in all her relationships, which is just some sensitivity, tenderness, kindness, gentleness. And so if you can give that to a woman, she's going to think you're the best, no matter what role you're playing in her life.
But I'm not going to ask a question. I listen to your stories, and it amazes me how much you have been able to do, and it makes me very proud, and I want to thank you and to encourage you to continue to be the best example for ladies and for gentlemen who are looking at you, because it really deserves lots of pride and respect what you have done and what you are doing. So thank you very much, and continue that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your lovely comment. Well, on behalf of the Retail Summit, it has truly been my pleasure to moderate this esteemed panel of 3 fabulous women. They just happen to be women, the 3 successful business people. And I hope that you'll take inspiration from each of their stories, and whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve those goals. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you, ladies.
Thank
Enjoy the
you.
last bit of the conference.